There's a lot of talk right now about restructuring, reorganizing, transformation, companies trying to be innovative. But realistically, what does it really mean to be innovative? And so we want to talk about today is the topic that is quite uncomfortable for some, and that is the topic of failure. But importantly, how do we learn from failure? And realistically, we cannot continue to transform if we don't have opportunities to fail, but to fail well or strategically and actually learn something from those failures. What do you think about that, Ivan? What can we do better, different?
So, and you said it quite well, Elena, that we cannot expect innovation and creativity in organizations if people do not have the experience of failing. Um, there was an interesting reading that I had a couple of weeks back. It is about the school called the Smith College in the US that has created a program called Failing Well. So, in order to teach students what it is about failing. And in fact, they get certificates of failure that declares that they are authorized to screw up, to bomb, to fail. And this is quite important. What is happening today in organizations is that when there is a failure, we are ashamed of talking about it and we hide it under the carpet. Now, what is the learning about it? How can we be innovative and creative if we are always thinking constantly how are we going to be judged about it? That there is going to be a penalty if we go and dare to do something new. What we don't realize is that behind in our brain there is this story about um, or let's call it like the challenges. One of the challenges is called the omission bias. So the reality is that most of people with a new idea choose not to pursue the idea because if they try something and it doesn't work, it may damage your career. There is a second challenge on top of this. Of this is to overcome what we call the loss aversion. So there is this tendency, the natural human tendency to play not to lose rather than play to win. Because for most of us, the pain of losing is double the pleasure of winning. So there is something already quite human behind, but how can we do in organizations to open up this area of reducing the aversion of losing? So, and if we consider many people that, and there is someone that I admire, Michael Jordan, for instance, who said, I have missed more than 9,000 shoots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games, 26 times. I've been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeeded. By losing the fear of and getting adapted to the option that is failing, people are more free to take creativity to the next level. And as you said it well, it is all about learning how to fail well, having the process in place to take learnings and to create a process that limits the risk. So the impact of how much you can fail. And the gains are huge. In fact, you gain experience, so you learn through pain. In fact, what it means, you gain knowledge. And now about knowledge, in fact, it makes me think about Thomas Edison, who said that he failed nearly 10,000 times to create a commercially viable electric light bulb. With each failure, in fact, he gained the knowledge about the things that do not work. And that's an acquisition that if we leave it, then we gain much more knowledge. You mentioned the fact that we gain in terms of resilience, how to get back into the game, even if we lose. We grow. And the growth is not about experience or knowledge. It's about that we create connections, processes in our brain that help us feel fulfilled because we are constantly trying to come up with something that is quite important for human beings. It's about this continuous growth, self-actualization, and you do it through experience. And we create a certain set of values that will allow us to thrive at work. So basically what we are saying is that if we had the experience or the opportunity to fail more constantly, and if organization put it as a part of their culture, that failure is accepted. And by the way, there is a couple of organizations who have already done that. We hear very often Jeff Bezos talking about it in Amazon. So all of the failures that have been accomplished so that Amazon becomes successful. We have heard about Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola, in fact, they came, they kept in their history one big failure that they did with one of the colas like 20 years ago. So they weren't trying to come up with new innovative ideas. And today, in fact, they say, hey, we need to have a higher rate of failure so that we can come with more innovation. Even Netflix today, they allow employees to work within an experiment as much as possible. So it is time to start very early on in organizations to create this environment that allows people to fail and experiment. And even if we go a little bit further, it's the time that even when you are younger, that when you are a parent, that you allow your child to learn by doing, to don't limit, to don't protect them anymore from the external facts, because you are growing someone who is going to be more resilient, more innovative, if he can practice by himself and knows the reality of life, which includes failure, right?
Absolutely. And you know what I love about the example of the parenting is that, just because your child will fail doesn't mean you're going to give up on them, right? And I think that's the same thing we need to apply in organizations. Just because our employees maybe fail, let's learn. How can we learn from this? How can we help them incorporate this learning into the next project, etc.? And I think that's a beautiful way to compare it. It's failing well.